right, so back to the race itself. Every year now there's a Say Nup to the Cup counter event that's held for those who believe that horse racing is cruelty to animals. And trainer Gai Waterhouse has come out today and really got stuck into those who protest against the Cup, calling them un-Australian. She actually said anyone who wants to knock the Melbourne Cup, they're very un-Australian. They just don't understand life. They are so precious, she said, and then went on saying, I wouldn't even waste my time having these people down to my stable to show them how well we treat our horses because you won't convert them. And I reckon she's right. I had a look at the Say Nup to the Cup website, and I expected the whole thing to be about, animal cruelty and statistics about what happens to horses when they are involved in the racing industry. But most of it was about the harms of gambling. Well, I don't see them protesting football or other sports. It was about the fact that on the Melbourne Cup day, people bring alcohol to the event. And as a result, there can be some antisocial behaviour. Christmas, and they talk about the fact that the Melbourne Cup, quote unquote, brings out the worst in us because people leave rubbish on the ground. Talk about a bunch of wowzers. But then I found this, which I thought interesting, Caleb. Essential Research did a poll and asked people, do you regularly bet on horse racing, and in particular on the Melbourne Cup? And do you know which political party or members of which political party were most inclined to put a bet on the Cup?
Tell me, James.
The Greens. 20% of Greens voters. Now, 19% of Greens, 18% of Labor voters. But the most likely to put a punt on the Cup, Greens voters.
Isn't that brilliant? I didn't know that. I love that. I'm going to use that all the time now. I mean, you get these wackos. They rock up every year when I go to Warrnambool for the Jumps Carnival down there, and they rock up on Grand Annual Day, and there's about 3 or 4 of them out the front, and there's 15,000 people at the track. Like, I think it's pretty clear which side most people are on. And Gai is right. We shouldn't be giving these people time of day. And I feel like in the last couple of years that started to happen. Like, Nup to the Cup was big 5 years ago, and it was starting to have an effect. But I think people have woken up to it.
Well, Peter Fitzsimon's got involved. Started promoting it.
That's helpful. I mean, I was at Derby Day on Saturday. They got 86,000 people in for Derby Day, which was the biggest crowd for Derby Day since 2018. Now, the crowd was a little down at the Cup yesterday on what it was last year, but they also had a terrible weather forecast. So they were down by about 5,000 or something on the year prior. But the weather was meant to be awful. And last year, by the way, was the best crowd since 2016. And on TV, where this year they got a bit over 2 million, which was up 8.8% on the TV viewership of last year on Channel 9. A few years ago, which year was it? It was 2022, on Channel 10, they got 1.35 million. So in a few years, we've gone from on the telly, 1.35 million people watching the Melbourne Cup to a tick over 2 million watching the Melbourne Cup. So there's actually more interest in the Melbourne Cup and racing, I think, across the board. Look at Sydney, the Everest, last 2 years has been sold out. Racing is having a resurgence in attendance at the track, people watching it, people having a bet, and I love to see it.
Yeah, and it's the same group of self-righteous, moralistic bullies that want to destroy fun. I mean, they're just anti-fun, and they're anti-racing, they're anti-greyhound racing, they're anti-vibrancy, they're just anti-life in general. And I'm glad that the media has stopped caring about what they say, because this year there was barely any coverage of Nup to the Cup. And you're right, Caleb, racing has become cool again. Even among young people, a lot of my friends, they're all going out to the races just to get dressed up and go out and socialise. It's probably one of the few remaining places where you can get dressed up, look nice, socialise with friends, have some good old quality fun with people.
Well, the other interesting thing from the Essential Research is that the age group most likely to have a punt are 18 to 34-year-olds. 25%, 1 in 4 in that age group said, yep, I'd put a bet on the races. So.